let you know. Now my voice is
Show
in
the
it.
audience.
There we go.
What are y'all doing?
Alright, now we're ready.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, Cash. Alright. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about affirmative action policies in secondary education. Affirmative action is not really any stranger to education. Most people have heard of these kind of policies in things like college admissions. But many people don't know that affirmative action is also in place in secondary education. This has positive and negative effects on students, teachers, and school systems alike. But the main question is, should we keep, alter, or completely get rid of these types of policies? My mom's a third grade teacher at Deep River Elementary School, and she all the time talks about how crazy her job is. She often talks about how there's different policies that come in and out year to year. Many of them are supposed to help with raising test scores and student growth and things like that. Two of the main programs over the last 15 years that have to do with affirmative action in secondary education are No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top. Through the dissection of the No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top programs, we will better be able to understand how these policies affect students, teachers, and school systems alike. Secondary education is basically just grade school. It's kindergarten through 12th grade. This type of education is typically run by the states and on a smaller scale the counties, which can be broken down even further into elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. Students must attend until they're at least 16, and the student achievement is primarily teacher and school system accountable. Reasons for affirmative action in this type of education is basically just there to help close the achievement gap, which is represented by the National Assessment of Educational Progress in their different studies of statistical standardized test scores from 1970 all the way through present day. On average, white students perform at a higher level than black and Hispanic students. This slide right here shows at the ages of 9, 13, and 17 standardized math scores from 1970 to 2000. You can see from the gray is represented at 9, the next level up is 13, and then the final darkest color at the top is when they're 17 years of age. You can see how there is a gap all the way down between all the different ethnic breakups there, which is basically just the achievement gap. The main issue with this achievement gap is it causes opportunity loss. Students that don't perform on as high a level as others aren't going to be able to get into college as easy. They're not going to be able to get the job that they want as easily as others. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act was implemented in response to this achievement gap. No Child Left Behind came from the Elementary and Secondary Education Act during the Bush administration. It basically used standardized test scores to measure minority student growth yearly and holds the schools and teachers accountable for this student growth. Race to the Top is another program that came out of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act during the Obama administration. The only difference is it helps to better reward the school systems by giving additional state-level grant money for those schools whenever they show that minority students have adequately grown throughout a single year. Pros and cons of the No Child Left Behind program is basically it just helped to decrease the achievement gap. It helped to lessen that social divide between some of the minority groups. Cons of this act is it really kind of discriminates against schools that have a large minority population because it forces them to perform on the same level as every other school. Race to the Top really just to continue to help close the achievement gap. It was really mostly a branch off of No Child Left Behind. It does have some more positive effect because it helps to try and not just punish but reward schools for showing growth. But the bad thing is this program rewards schools by giving money to the states, not specifically the schools, which can be budgeted in, not necessarily for the schools. Both No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top have positive and negative effects, as I've stated. What is definitely certain is these programs put much of the responsibility on the schools and the teachers to show this growth in student minorities from year to year. Initially, I'd asked if we should get rid of, alter, or just keep the policies that we have now. Personally, I believe that these policies are doing the best that they can at the moment for helping to lessen minority achievement gaps. The main problem right now is not being able to have enough accountability for the students. I stated throughout many times during this presentation that most of the student growth is put on teachers and the school systems. It's because you can't necessarily put the responsibility on the students to perform this because they have to go to school. They don't have a choice. Parents don't necessarily push them to perform well. They don't get punished all the way around. Unless we can change this, honestly, I don't really see a better way of doing it than what we're doing right now with the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. But thank you. This has been a presentation of affirmative action in secondary education.